CFX, the Connection of Things, streams live from Secwepemcúl'ecw, which is the unceded and traditional territory of the Secwépemc Nation in southern British Columbia, Canada. Specifically, I'm talking to you from the city of Salmon Arm. Now, over at the Stewardship office, the desks are literally creaking under the weight of the referrals that are piling up. The hard drives are full. We've got to get more external hard drives or work off the cloud to find some place to put it all. And every week, another 1 or 4 come in. The impact assessments, notices of intent, invitations to consult, they just keep piling up and piling up. Just answering the emails, it takes 2 hours a day. And the questions, they affect not only today, they affect all of the future. And nobody knows what the cumulative effects of all of this is. But in our gut, we feel like it's unsustainable. The deadlines, they're so difficult. They're not even just difficult. They're pretty much impossible to meet if you want to do a really high quality job. So across town, the proponent is sitting there uneasy. They followed all the rules for their application. They followed all the guidelines. They were fully compliant with all the check boxes and lists. They spent millions of dollars on consultants jumping through all the regulatory hoops. The consultants have told them there's no significant cumulative effects to worry about. They've convened boards. They've invested in communities. They've consulted with Indigenous communities. They've done all of this on speculation. And they have no certificate and no social license. Prosperity is locked down. We're missing out on economic opportunities every day. Now, why is this happening? What's the alternative? To not care about the environmental systems that nourish us? Are the developers just greedy? Are environmentalists just anti-business? It's not good. And more importantly, it's not good design. Now, I have personally worked across the spectrum. I've worked for big industry, for multinational forest companies. I've worked for crown governments. I've co-founded and led nonprofits. I consult to and work with Indigenous governments now. And I've led multi-year initiatives of huge amounts of interest groups that are working for a common cause. And through it all, and after 30 years, I continue to see these same challenges. They keep happening over and over and over again. History's littered with lessons unlearned, right? Or forgotten. Why? Well, I think it's because by and large, we've turned away from our holistic relationship with the planet. And we've become disconnected. And when that happens, it very often leads to conflict, misunderstanding, wasted effort, and frustration. How do we break this cycle? The repetitive negative cycle. How do we get out of business as usual? Well, here's how I think we do it. We start with understanding that everything is connected. We accept that the environment, people, and economy are in a relationship, and it's a dependent relationship. The environment nourishes people. People create economies to improve their quality of life, and we have choices about whether they regenerate or deplete our natural capital. There are answers, but we need collective action. We can't act independently. No one group or organization or person is going to solve it. We have to be able to work across sectors and across cultures. We need a neutral space where people can come together without a position, where they can share experiences, where they can share what's working and what's not working. We need to make it easier to network and build partnerships. They're the cornerstone of moving forward collectively. They're the cornerstone of our future prosperity. We get so stuck on everything that's wrong. We need to be recognizing achievement and success. It's out there. We need to celebrate that. So that's why we created the CFX Conference Series, a neutral space where people can come together, share what's working, what isn't, network, build relationships, and celebrate success. CFX 2021 is May 6th, 2021, and my guest this week is Elizabeth Dempsey. Hey, Liz.
Hi, Barry. How are you? So great to be here.
I'm awesome. Liz is the program manager, North America at Public Sector Network. And Liz has been leading the development and operations of major conference events for over 9 years. And I'm proud to say that Liz is also the operations lead for our CFX conference team. Now, Liz currently lives in Toronto, Ontario. And if you haven't already done this, kick that subscribe button. Help us grow this movement. All right, Liz, enough of this preamble stuff. Bourbon Blues on the street, loose and complete. Let's cue the music and get this show going. Blues are always required. I see our assistant producer Sarika is over there in comments and reactions working with us. Awesome, Sarika. If you got questions or ideas, pop them up there and Sarika will help you with that. We want to engage with you live. This isn't a popcorn show where everybody just sits back and watches Liz and I talk. Now, Liz, you and I met at a conference of all places.
Shocking.
A while back, and we've been doing this together for quite a while, and now we've been collaborating for 3 years on the CFX conference series.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. It's May 6th, CFX 2021. This is an annual event, but this year it's on May 6th. Let's talk about what's going to be discussed. What would people benefit from by attending, and maybe share with us a few things that make it unique.
Absolutely. And Barry, I just want to get started by saying, as you mentioned, I'm broadcasting here from Toronto, and I like to acknowledge the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and just mention that Toronto is home to many diverse Indigenous communities, and I'm very grateful to be broadcasting from here today.
Awesome.
And again, thank you so much for having me on today. I think your opening remarks really summed up what's at stake when we think about this event and about cumulative effects more generally. And I guess to get started, the theme of the event centers around 3 eyes, seeing with 3 eyes. And the eyes are both the traditional understanding of eyes and that we would visualize, but also eyes as in the letter, interconnection, innovation, and ideas. That's where rubber hits road at this event, and that's what we're trying to bring together. And a wise man once said to me that you can't just describe a problem. You have to come up with a solution. I think you'll know who that wise man is.
Yeah.
But it's very important to not just focus on describing a problem. We want to convene around solutions. And what those 3 eyes enable us to do is to see in a more holistic way, and also to generate more collaboration, community building, conversation, all of the key criteria that leads to change management. And change doesn't happen overnight. It's difficult. It's not going to happen at one event, which is why the event is also about building communities of practice so that people can continue the conversation. So I'd also say that even even though it is indeed a conference, it's a continued conversation too.
I feel like it's a
Um,
gathering.
exactly. And there will be lots of opportunities to stay connected and to continue this conversation. So on May 6th, we're thinking big but starting small. Just by
Mm.
let's get people in the same room together and get the dialogue going and think about how to um, how to see our way out of what's not working for us right now and
Mm.
together get organized to come up with some exciting solutions to carve a more prosperous path forward that works for everybody.
Right. Collective action. So those three
Exactly.
I's are interconnection, innovation, and ideas, right?
Right.
And like I really think this, on the interconnection piece. Wow. I mean, we've had it really brought home for everybody in the world about how connected we are now, right?
Hmm.
I mean, we've always been connected, but we really, really feel it now with COVID-19. And so we understand that, and we understand that if you do what you did, you get what you got, and we want something different. So we have to
Exactly.
innovate. And it's been my experience that if you sit at home and ponder your own ideas by yourself, you can come up with some good ideas. But when you get in a room with a whole bunch of people and all of that energy and synergy
Yeah.
starts to happen, ideas just start popping out, right?
Exactly. I can't remember which French philosopher it was, but a French philosopher said, "No one knows everything, but everyone knows something," and that's what
Right.
it's all about. It's about or filling in those pieces and sharing knowledge together to carve a better path forward.
And we both acknowledged the traditional territories of the indigenous nations where we get to live, and that sort of brings us to the other three I's that around the theme of, we often hear about a two-eyed seeing or understanding the world from a holistic indigenous perspective through traditional knowledge that's been garnered off the landscape for thousands and thousands of years. And then combining that with Western contemporary science, that's two eyes.
Yeah.
And then the third eye is that thing that's supposedly right in here, that it's a special gift of humans to allow us to have foresight and to think ahead, so we can sort of anticipate. And so we, using all three of those eyes, that's in synergy together. That's how we're going to produce solutions. That's how things like ideas and innovation can emerge from these events, these gatherings.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't agonize, organize, share. And again, there's just so much expertise out there, and it's a matter of bringing it all together and finding that neutral space where
Yeah.
people can collaborate.
That's, I think that's a really important word, what you said there, neutral.
Hmm.
Because you and I have been in this situation many times. In the world of environmental impact assessment, I've been in some pretty hot rooms,
Hmm.
and it's not neutral. It's combative because the existing legislative frameworks set us up for battle. That they're not
Yeah,
about finding collaboration. There's winners and losers. There's a binary outcome. There's one or the other, and it's significant or it's not significant. And I think that's another really important element that's been one of the foundations of the conference is neutrality and being able to come to a space, feel safe. You're not necessarily representing an organization. You're there as part of a community trying to find solutions.
exactly. And I think it's that openness that leads to trust. And that's when people start working together. And the neutral setting is critical to that. Um, I also think that it's interesting how the process works and that conversations happen in silos. So
Mm.
how do we get everyone in a room together and make sure that all points of view are being heard and acted upon. So I think it's about neutrality, but it's also about openness and breaking down those barriers. So I'm especially excited that even though we are in a virtual setting this year, there's more opportunity for people to connect because you're not limited by travel. You're not
Right.
limited by budget. You can come and engage and be a part of this discussion.
Yeah, I think that that's really a big value. There's a couple of things there. First of all, yeah, because we're not paying for venues, we've been able to keep the ticket prices way down. So it's
Yes,
totally affordable. I know that compared to some other events, we're like 20% of what other events are going, and so I think the
it's
value is
really
really high.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then you get because we record everything in video, like you'll get access to all the previous year's events. So it's like this year, it's like getting 3 conferences in one.
And it's that continued conversation that we're looking to build too. How do we keep the community going? And a lot of that has to do with remembering what we discussed last year and continuing that
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
And you've had some great ideas around making sure that we don't have to endure death by PowerPoint. And so we've got panels where people are
Yeah.
interacting in
Yeah.
groups. We're going to be having breakouts. We're going to be doing live polls.
Yeah. And it makes such a huge difference. I find uh, you can watch a presentation on demand and on your own time and take away lots of great content. But where the magic happens is in those conversations, in those impromptu discussions. And I think that's also what we're all craving these days too. I
Mm,
mean, we're here in Toronto, we're still in lockdown mode, and it looks as though we're going to be that way for the foreseeable future. So those opportunities to connect and to get outside of your own way of thinking is
yeah,
they're just so rare and so critical. You
yeah,
just forget through osmosis how much knowledge you pick up just from moving around in the world.
yeah.
And so we want to make sure that there are those opportunities to connect and for the audience to feel as though they're almost part of the speaker faculty in some cases.
Which we should touch on a few of those speakers, but I'm going to keep
Yeah.
us moving along here, so because I want to make sure that we get through all of our awesome content, and I'm going to switch right into the Forest of Whispering Speakers in honor of my favorite band, the Tragically Hip, and my favorite poet, Mr. Gord Downey. And I'm just going to flip over. I'm going to do this a little bit different than I usually do. First of all, I want you to have a listen to this a song. I know you're going to recognize it right away. Oh, yes, it was just about to go. So you know it, right? It's the opening to Shrek, right?
Yeah.
Walking on the Sun, Smash Mouth. And it's such a fun, playful melody that it's easy to just like groove to the tune and not even listen. And I bet a lot of us do that. I know I actually did that when I first listened. I got hooked on the melody, but the lyrics are actually really really deep. The song was written by the group's guitarist Greg Camp, and he was in an interview with Songfacts.com. And here's what he said about it. The song was basically a social and racial battle cry. It was sort of a "can't we all get along" kind of a song. It was just like about all the things that were going on around me as a young person. And I'm like, God, what's going on? I don't understand why this is happening. It's like we might as well be walking on the sun, on a burning planet. And so I'm just going to play a little bit more of the music, and then I'm going to share some of my interpretations around the lyrics. But let's enjoy this in that lyric, The song really speaks. If you go through the lyrics, it speaks to consumerism. It starts right off the bat. It ain't no joke. I'd love to buy the world a Coke. It's that old Coke commercial. I'd love to buy the world a Coke. And it talks about how, like commercialism really was taking over. And, then there was this counterculture that came up in the 60s, right? Which was, they say 25 years ago, they spoke out and they broke out of recession and oppression, and together they toked. I guess they were ahead of their time. And they folked out with their guitars and around a bonfire, just singing and clapping, man. And then somehow those ideals got, I don't know, changed in the next generation, in my generation, in Generation X. And he says, what the hell happened? Their kids were all hippie chicks and hypocrites. And we all got stoked up on our fashion and saw fashion, fashion is smashing. It's the true meaning of it. And so we got right back into the need to have all of those crazy clothes. This led to the development of sweatshops and all kinds of things. Let's listen just a little bit more, and then I'm going to conclude on my thoughts. So you need to be there when your baby's old enough to relate, right in that last line. Don't sit back, kick back, and watch the world get bushwhacked. Basically, to me, it's a call to action to say, look, we're slipping back to where we didn't want to be. And it's going to take all of us to get together and forget all this silliness. I think that's what the song, and I don't know, Liz, like it's not the first thing we think of when we hear that song, right?
No. Yeah.
And yet I found so much now when I go back and I listen to artists and really dig into the message that they've got. I mean, it's great music. But there's a really important message in there too, and that's just to not get all caught up in it, right? Like we got caught up in the melody. So, anyways, that's this week's Forest of Whispering Speakers. Liz, we've got some things coming up for CFX 2021, May 6th. We've got some things that are happening before the conference and after the conference. Mm-hmm. Can you share those with us?
Well, we'll have a series of webinars leading up to the event. And it will be you'll have opportunities to connect with participants and speakers in advance of the event. So again, really thinking about collaboration, continued conversations that lead to that change, as opposed to we'll just convene once a year. We'll talk about important issues, and then we'll go back to the old way of doing things. We don't want to do that. Conversation going, and I not to say that those annual opportunities to be inspired aren't important and useful, but I think if we want change, we have to remember that it's incremental. And it takes a lot of cooperation, and that means staying connected. And in this environment, being intentional about staying connected. So with that in mind, we'll have a series of 3 webinars leading up to the event. And then once at the event, we encourage everyone to just put your phone away, be as present as possible. Get rid of Teams, get rid of Slack, get rid of those distractions, and join us for, it's a little over 3-hour commitment. But we want everyone to be present, and we want you to take May 6th and just dedicate it to the future of cumulative effects management. And then
we also have we have a website where people can continue to connect as a community afterwards.
Of course. Yeah. And we have, in addition to the website, there's also going to be a workbook. So that I often
Yes.
hear when conferences wrap up, I have so many great takeaways, but I don't know what to do with them and where do I get started? And they just sit in a notebook, and then you're clearing out your office, and you kind of start looking through your notebook again. It's sad. I'm looking at one of those notebooks right now. And you want to make sure that you're acting on those incredible takeaways that
Right.
you get from the event and the inspiration that can carry on. So how do you do that? One, by capturing those insights in almost like a mini strategic plan for yourself. And that's where the workbook comes in. And then we also want you to find accountability buddies at the event. So
Yeah.
take an action item, commit to one big idea and one quick one, and say, within 3 months, I want to accomplish this. Make a new connection at the event, meet them for a coffee, hopefully in person, if not virtually, and make that connection. Have that accountability buddy. Try to get someone outside your network so that you're really tapping into the rich diversity that's going or of people who are going to be at the conference,
Right.
and stay connected. And we'll facilitate that through the website too, but we want to make sure that we give everyone plenty of action items to walk away with, not just inspiration, but inspiration that leads to action.
Cool. And if you're into social media, we have we're on LinkedIn. You can connect
Yeah.
with either Liz or I there. We're going to be starting a Facebook group. We've got that just about ready to go. We're on Clubhouse. I'm telling you, Liz, we are everywhere, and you're making it easy for people
Yeah.
to keep moving, right? To keep getting connected.
Stay connected.
So awesome. So awesome. And we also have an incentive. There's a brand new book coming out. It's a textbook. Well, I call it a textbook anyways. It's an amazing reference of 17 authors from around the world called the Handbook of Cumulative Impact Assessment. It's getting published by Edward Elgar in May this year. And we're going to be giving away one of those books. They're worth like $270 US. We're going to be giving one away for every webinar to a participant. So that's a great incentive to get involved in those. You don't even have to do anything. Just show up, listen and learn and get your entry in there. And then for those who attend the conference, we've been given from the publisher, we've been given a special discount code that we can share with attendees at the event. So if you don't happen to get a free one, we can help you get it cheaper. All right. Well, our show is just like blistering along here. I love it.
Yeah, it's wild, Barry. This is flying.
And the triangle ding it means we're at my favorite part of the segment, which is the rapid fire questions.
All
So
right.
this
I'm
is
ready.
where I get to try to get you off guard. Liz had no chance to study for this exam, and they're really
Uh-oh.
hard questions. So are you ready?
I hope so. I might have a technical difficulty at some point.
Yeah.
Am I on mute?
Yeah, no, you're not on mute. All right, so they're fast questions. Give me your fast answer. There's nothing dangerous in here.
Got
Here
it.
we go. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple. You are so unique, Liz. Nobody has said purple.
It's a color of
Favorite?
compromise.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Favorite number?
7.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 99 or something like that. There's lots of sevens. Wine or beer, Liz?
Beer.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be beer.
Speaker, presenter, or faculty?
Oh, faculty.
Yeah, the group, right? That collective
Ooh,
knowledge.
yeah.
Hey, what's better in winter, Ontario or Ohio?
They're about the same. I'm going to go with Ontario because you have better access to all the hockey games.
Ah, there you go. All right, good for you. For those of you who don't know, Liz hails from Cleveland.
Go Browns.
but she lives in Toronto. One thing you would bring to a deserted island, Liz?
A good book.
Oh, like the Handbook of Cumulative Impact Assessment?
You read my mind.
If you brought that, I don't know.
If I get the discount code.
That would be disappointing. Um, do you karaoke?
Uh, it depends on whether I've had those beers we spoke of earlier.
Okay. When you dance, you look like.
An idiot.
That's usually what I
I'm
say.
very confident, but not very talented.
Well, if you've had enough of the beers, then I guess it's okay. Then you're feeling confident. All right. Last question. Who would play you in the blockbuster movie Liz Dempsey?
Oh my goodness. I have no idea. I don't know. I
Total blank. There's nobody like you. Nobody could do
oh
it.
no, no, I'm not sure. I don't think there will be a blockbuster movie.
Well,
Thankfully,
I
thankfully.
think we've settled it. If there is a blockbuster movie called Liz Dempsey, it'll be starring Liz.
Oh,
All right, we're gonna just move into the last segment here. 9 years of events. Well, I'm sure it's been longer than that, but 9 years since you've been really leading and coordinating them.
yes. Yeah.
15 years, I guess, of putting together professional development programming. You've seen a lot of presentations.
Yes.
Do you have some tips for people who want to be a speaker in an event, whether they're doing it, right now virtually, or if they get a chance to be on stage?
Absolutely. There are um I think step one is put your name out there. Um get going. And if you fail, just fail fast and learn. And ask for all of the feedback. Um just get started,
Don't
I
be
would
afraid
say
to go
is
for it.
don't be afraid to take the stage. Exactly.
Nice.
Because it communication is just such a key it's such a key quality for aspiring leaders. And again, that commitment to knowledge and sharing what you know, um, it's just such a selfless thing to do. um, and I think if you're going to get more technical about the tips, step one when you're speaking, and I should do as I say, not as I do, obviously, um, but always slow down. Go maybe a few seconds slower than you think you need to go, because
Yeah.
people just need time to digest. Tell a story and be intentional. Start with a learning objective. It's like a high school essay. You want to tell that story to get to your thesis statement, and
Mm,
every point you make reinforces your ultimate learning objective. And then
right.
finally, the power of three. Three points on your slides. Don't overdo it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been, well, we've all seen it, a slide with a book on it. And then it gets read to you. So that's a tough one. I think also, like I've been speaking on stages for a long time. Something that I've learned that actually makes things easier for the speaker and also makes your presentation better is if you're just you. Just be
Yeah.
you,
Authenticity. Yeah.
right? And like you said, like don't be afraid. Like if you go up there and you make a mistake or you say a word wrong, and then whatever, that's what we all do. I mean, some of these words, cumulative effects, is like a mouthful of marbles. It's a tough one. You're gonna blow it. Don't worry about it.
Yep. It's true. It's true. And the audience is empathetic. They really are. Don't assume that everyone's sitting there waiting for a mistake. Everyone is cheering you on. They want you
Yeah.
to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think in a virtual setting, it's so hard because you just don't have that
Mm.
two-way feedback. So, try to be a chat champion. Once you've finished your presentation, get into the chat
Yeah.
and engage with people. Be a chat champion in a virtual world.
Another one that I had, did a presentation for Rotary District 5060 last night, and it was on Zoom. And so it's exactly that same thing. Like when you're in a room, like you can connect with people in the audience where
Yeah.
you get immediate feedback. In Zoom, I put everything on gallery view and spread it out as much as possible so that I can see a
Oh,
bunch
that's a
of
great tip.
faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
some of them are like, and some of them are like, and so find the one that's really like leaning into your
Yeah.
camera and work off their energy.
Oh, you know what though, in person, that's an actually it's an interesting one because I have a tendency to kind of focus on the person, that really sympathetic person who's nodding at the front. They're
Yeah.
trying to help you out, but and and then you kind of lose sight of the people who are doing this with their phones, and you got to get everyone in there. So if you see that you're starting to lose your audience, just slow down, tell a joke, ask the audience a question,
Yeah.
try to engage them, but don't be intimidated by this. There's always a way around it. You can always get your audience back.
Those are great tips. Great tips. All right. Well, uh, the CFX library, we're going to move into there, a reference that we often share for guests about where you can find out more information about the topic that we're talking about. So, Liz,
Yes.
what's your share today?
So my share is cfxconference.com. We have our preliminary agenda up there, and in the coming days, we'll actually have our full agenda posted. It will give you more details about seeing with three eyes, the themes that we've identified earlier. An incredible lineup of speakers. I am just beyond excited about the people that we're bringing together, and just tapping into the collective expertise in the room. It's going to be amazing. So please take a look at the program, cfxconference.com. You can also subscribe subscribe and get updates on program developments and when the webinars are. So that's my resource for today, cfxconference.com. Oh, oh, Barry, we might have to switch your view back.
What happened?
There we go. I just couldn't hear you for a moment there. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Well, probably everybody couldn't hear me. I'm getting so fancy with all my overlays, I might have out-teched myself. All right. Well, that's it. That's a great reference. cfxconference.com. Good thing you were saying something because I think my mouth was probably flapping and nobody heard me. As I said before, thanks to Sarika Mills for being our assistant producer. Go to cfxconference.com. Watch for those webinars and get yourself registered so you can get in on the draw for the new Handbook of Cumulative Impact. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Both Liz and I are there. We're both on Clubhouse and on Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. Pacific. Now we have a room going. So get in the room, join the conversation, get up on stage, practice your speaking, share your ideas.
Exactly.
That's where an amazing venue now where we can connect. And Liz, I just want to say, we've had, I don't know, it's been a really interesting time since we started working together. We started out as I was just a speaker and trying to work with you as the coordinator, and it's sort of come full circle. And I guess that's another benefit of attending these events is when you go, you network and you make new relationships, and
Yeah.
they can last a lifetime, right? And you just spread out uh, your network, and you learn so much more from other people. It's so much fun.
It's so true. And Barry, thank you so much for having me on today. It was a pleasure being here, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the conference.
Fantastic, and as always, Liz, we always have a blast. So,
I know, it's so exciting.
and let me tell you, CFX 2021 will be just as much fun.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, we'll see you there.
See you there.